Okay, ladies, I have a question for you. Remember that honeymoon stage of your relationship? You remember that one, right?
Yeah.
It was years ago when you and your husband couldn't keep your hands off of each other. That was before the kids and before those long work days.
I feel like I see you more than my own husband, so I'm like married to her. But it's time to bring that passion back into your marriage. Dr. Victoria Wilson and her husband John Wilson are here to help. Their book is called The 30-Day Sex Solution. It's got some great pointers to rev up your life in the bedroom. Good to have you both here.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for
how
having
long
us.
have you been married?
15 years.
Really?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We're about to get all up in your business, because if you write a book like this, just get ready. So if you can give us one tip, what do you do to keep your love life, your marriage spicy? Because you look like you two have a little bit of fun. I'm just going to say it. Like you keep it going there. What do you do?
You change things up.
Switch it up?
Absolutely. Because otherwise, monogamy becomes monotony.
You both have to be in agreement to switch things up, though, right? In order for this whole thing to work?
But we also all about surprises.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like
All
you're right, though. If you all of a sudden switch things up and your husband's like,
crazy.
what are you doing? Where have you been? Where'd you learn that?
Right.
That might not be a good
Yeah,
idea.
yeah.
So
Little
do you
warning,
you
right?
think, need to have a conversation with your spouse? Is this something that you guys need to discuss, first of all, and say, we need to rev this up?
Sure, there can be planning. I mean, it's a big component of the book, which is planning. Let's pre-plan. Let's talk about this. Let's see how this is going to play out. Victoria will give you a piece there with my favorite chapter.
looking at her eyes.
My favorite chapter is the naughtiness chapter.
Ooh, typical guy, right?
Well, it's interesting because as we were working, and this took us a few years to come up with this as a big collaboration, I said, okay, what are the factors that make for great passion?
Right.
And the first one is priority, because simply we don't have priority for passion. So I came up with the priority factor and with the intimacy factor, which is the first two. And then we both came up with the novelty factor, and John came up with the naughtiness factor.
Oh, John, look at you.
And then I said, and how do we take it further?
The guys will like
the
this book.
loftiness factor is the final one. So we each
Okay.
came up with a piece of this puzzle.
That's so important, though. You have to make it a priority. Days go by, weeks go by, months go by, and before you know it, things are just down in the dumps.
Yeah,
Pretty
planning is
much.
very important. Spontaneous sounds great,
Yeah.
but spontaneous sex often doesn't happen. It gets put, it gets to be last on our priority list. So we talk about date nights and surprise nights and all those kind of fun things.
Let me ask you this. I want to ask you, can cheating really be prevented? Can lack of intimacy really lead to cheating?
Absolutely. I think a lot of the reason why cheating arises is lack of erotic communication. Maybe one spouse has some sort of fantasies and not comfortable revealing those fantasies to another spouse, and so they start looking for it elsewhere. So we hold a whole chapter that talks about erotic communication and exploring each other's fantasies and formative firsts and love maps and so forth.
On that note, I read 15% of married couples haven't had sex in a year. 15 to 20% have only been intimate 10 times in the last year. Why is this? And are these couples that have been married for a long period of time, or does this happen pretty early on in
It's
a
just
marriage?
the patterns, responsibilities, overwhelming, child care, job responsibilities.
It happens, well, the first stage, the limerence stage, it's called the limerence stage when you first meet, lasts about 18 to 36 months. And usually during that time when couple first gets together, the passion is great and they're having lots of sex. Then it slowly, after about 36 months, the frequency falls. And then in the long-term relationship, a lot of people don't get to do it much at all. We treat a lot of couples, and there's a lot of sexless marriages.
And the book is also an
That is
invitation
interesting.
to bring back moments of limerence into the relation, into the relation.
And that's by doing the factors that you have there that you mentioned earlier. Okay.
Yeah, exhibitionism, voyeurism.
Exhibitionism.
There's some in here.
I found
it.
a fun chapter.
Okay, but we're going to have to read a little bit more. If you are looking to heat up the romance, rekindle the spark in your marriage, maybe try a little exhibitionism, you got to pick up a copy of their book. It's called The 30-Day Sex Solution.
And let your husband read the
My
naughty
husband would
chapter.
think I was crazy. He would
Yeah, absolutely.